There's a saying that a calm sea never made a skilled sailor. And I think there's so much truth to that. Because we live in a world where everything's at our fingertips. You want to date somebody, you swipe on a dating app, you can meet them the same day. You want to order something online, you go on Amazon, it's delivered the next day. You want to check your stocks, your bank account, you just go on the app, and it's right there. We're just so used to instant gratification. We're so used to instant results that subconsciously we don't realize that it becomes a part of our daily psyche. It becomes a part of our daily thought process. And that resonates in everything we do, everything we think, everything we act upon in our routine life, which is problematic because it sets us up for failure. You're expecting results right away in everything in your life. So when you go through hardship and pain and sorrow and tests and trials in life, you are always jittery. You're always at the end of your seat. And because you're living your life always on the edge, always expecting instant gratification and results to whatever situation you're in, you're setting yourself for ultimate failure because life doesn't work that way. They even say Rome wasn't built in a day, right? So at the end of the day, everything that you go through, everything in life has an evolutionary path. You know, you could be suffering from cold or flu, right? And the doctor gives you a bottle of cough syrup or cold syrup, whatever it is. Now, if you drink the whole bottle the same day, are you going to be okay? No. If anything, it could make things worse. You don't drink the whole bottle of cough syrup the same day. The idea is that you divide it over 7-8 days, whatever the course of the medicine is, and then over time it reduces the symptoms and you get better. Same thing in life. Anything you go through in life, good or bad, has an evolutionary path, has a process, has a purpose, has a fun. So everything has a fundamental design. Everything has a core purpose. The very phone that I'm talking to right now was built by engineers, was built by a bunch of designers, a bunch of scientists, a bunch of programmers, and all the best minds in the world came together and made something as small and compatible and amazing as a smartphone. Now imagine if a smartphone has a function, like anything else in life. It could be a ring, it could be a hat, it could be your sunglasses, anything else in your life. Even in the natural world, the trees, the plants, the mosquitoes, everything has a purpose. Imagine if all those things have a purpose. How can your life not have a purpose? So if your life does have a purpose, is that going to be a smooth ride? Of course not. It's not going to be a smooth ride. It's going to have its own evolutionary journey. It's going to have its own bumps on the road. And that's where stress and tribulations and trials in life come into play. Now you can have the same ideology that somebody who orders stuff on Amazon has and expects the results the same day. And if it's not delivered the next day because you're a Prime member, you put up a bad review, you put up a bad customer service email saying that, well, I placed an order and I didn't get what I expected. That's not life. You cannot treat life like an Amazon order, right? Anything that you go through has its own evolutionary path, has its own purpose. And everything that you're going through, good or bad in your life, is going to pivot you to where you're supposed to be. As long as your heart is true, as long as you have right intentions and pure intentions and you're true to yourself, whatever you go through in life, good or bad, is working towards tilting you and adjusting your life towards where you should be and what you should be doing. Now, 21 years ago, my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer. And at that time, you can imagine, breast cancer research, the technology, the strategies and the techniques that they use for chemotherapy weren't as refined or foolproof as they are today. Obviously, breast cancer research has advanced over the last 21 years. So at that time, I remember her going through chemotherapy, and it was the most worst pain you could see another human being go through. I don't think I need to elaborate on that. When you go through chemotherapy, your body just basically degrades in every possible way. You lose your hair. They had to chop off her breast. And at that time, I remember the doctors told her that even with all of this, because it's stage 4 cancer, you can only live 1 year. They gave her an ultimatum of 1 year. They said you should start saying goodbye to your friends and family because all you have a year is. So the doctor said you only have a year to live. You should start saying goodbyes to your friends and family. But my mother, being the amazing woman that she was, the true fighter that she was, she based on just her willpower, just the fact that she wanted to spend her life on Earth as much as possible with her kids. She challenged medical science at that time, and instead of a year, she went on to live 8 more years. And for me, that's a true story of success, triumph, resilience, bravery, and fighting against all odds, just based on your willpower, just based on accepting that trials and tribulations are a part of life, and that life really is 10% of what happens to you and 90% of how you respond to it. She lived by that quote. And this is why I really value the Stoic philosophy, the philosophy of Taoism. They're all based on moving with the flow. All these philosophies, Stoicism and Taoism, they're all based on the philosophy of moving with the flow, of not moving against the grain, but with the flow of the water, and letting things go, basically. Just letting things go, because there's only so many things in this life, in this world, that you have under control. You can't even control your own body, right? You've not been able to control the very heart beating in your chest since the day you were born till the day you die. It's your body, my skin, my this, my that. But how much control do we really have on our very own bodies? We don't. There's young people dying in their sleep every day. There's people who are fit, who are healthy, who have no drug problems, no alcohol, no smoking, no nothing, and they just drop dead one day, and you don't even know why they passed away, and it's always a mystery. And the doctors just label it as natural causes. So at the end of the day, you could be the healthiest person in the world, you could be the richest person in the world, you could be the most fittest person in the world, the most honest person in the world, the ugliest person in the world, the fattest, the shortest, the tallest, the most beautiful, the most famous, the most powerful. Whatever you are, you cannot define what happens to you internally or externally. It's not in your hands. The only thing that's in your hands is the decisions you make in life. The free will that makes us human. That's the only thing you have in your control. And even with that, you can't control the outcome. But what you can control is your response to those outcomes. And I think a lot of times we see people going through depression and heartbreak and pain and hopelessness in life because they think they can make a difference. They think they can make a difference, but at the end of the day, there's no difference you can make besides your decision making, besides the free will that you choose to practice. Everything, good or bad, that happens to you is going to happen regardless. It doesn't matter if you believe in God. By the way, I'm not too much of a religious person. I'm a spiritual person. I do believe in a higher power. But I want you to know that it has nothing to do with God. None of what I've talked about has to do with anything with God or being a religious person. There's religious people who are suffering the pain and the sorrow that non-religious people suffer. Right? Everybody, like I said, doesn't matter who you are, what you label yourself as. You will go through problems, health problems, life problems, marital problems, financial problems, emotional problems, spiritual problems, the way any person would, regardless of how angelic they are or how evil they are. What you can control, ultimately what you can control is your response to the things, macro and micro, happening within the ecosystem of your life. Ultimately, those are the only things you can control. And you have to make your peace with whatever the outcome is. Because at the end of the day, people who are not able to make peace and reconcile and embrace and accept the outcomes of their life, they're the ones who are the most miserable. That's why it's really important to create a template that you can abide by. That template could be anything. It could be emotionally motivated, it could be spiritually motivated, it could be socially motivated, it could be whatever your philosophy and ideology and way of life is. As long as you have a template and a purpose and a focal point in your life, you'll know that as long as you're trying your best, you will never have regrets. Because it's one thing to try your best for anything. You want the best job, you want the best wife, you want the best health, the best body, the best of everything in life. You try your best. But if you're not able to achieve it, at least you can reconcile with that. You can reconcile with that because you know that you tried your best. You tried everything within your emotional, intellectual, physical capacity to attain that goal. And the rest is really up to fate and destiny. But you tried your best. And if it works out the way you want, then great. Keep going. But if it doesn't work out the way you want, then always know that there's probably a silver lining to it that you won't understand right now. As long as your heart is pure, your intentions are sincere, it has a silver lining that you won't understand right now, but you will see the benefit of that years down the road. And I think as long as you live your life according to those fundamentals, that kind of vision, you will never suffer resentment in your heart, you will never suffer pain and sorrow in your heart, because you'll always be content with your effort, and you'll know that you tried your best. There's not going to be guilt or regret. So it's really important that you surround yourself with people who are supportive, who understand you, who are there to listen to you. Now, a lot of times I understand it's hard. A lot of times we don't have that kind of support network at home, at work, within our social circle. In that case, just try to incorporate healthy habits in your life. Physical habits like working out, going to the gym, exercising, reading, meditating, helping out at the local, at the local charity events, charity organizations, being a volunteer, actively involving yourself in community engagement, things like that. Because at the end of the day, you have to realize that you're not just some rock on the street or a pebble in the mud or a piece of wood laying in the forest. You're a human being. You've got purpose. You're breathing the oxygen that 8 billion people more in this world are fighting for. Because there's places in this world that doesn't have pure oxygen. There's places in this world that doesn't have clean water. So the fact that you exist, the fact that these fundamental things are valuable to your existence as a human being should point you towards the fundamental purpose, the core purpose that your life is. Regardless of what your situation is, what color of your skin is, what your ethnicity is, what your religion is, what your nationality is, what your social status is, what your financial situation is, regardless of that, regardless of any of that, the fact that you're a human being, that you're alive, that you're breathing oxygen that other human beings in the world are vying for, means you have a purpose. It means that you're placed on this planet for a reason, for a purpose. And you should know that no matter what you're going through, everything in life makes you a stronger, better, higher version of yourself, if you want that to happen. There's a lot of people who go through stuff in life and they don't come out of it strong. They only become more resentful and more bitter. Don't be those people. Be somebody who takes life by the horns and takes it as a challenge, takes it as a process of purifying themselves, just the way gold is purified and all the impurities are removed. Just the way gold is purified and all the impurities from gold are removed to give you the end product, which is priceless. Same with diamonds. At the end of the day, whatever you go through in life, good or bad, is there to shave off the dirt from you. It's there to shave off the impurities from you. And as long as you have that kind of mindset that aligns with this kind of purpose, you'll always come out as a better human being. You'll always come out year after year as a better, higher, enhanced version of who you are. And even if it doesn't benefit anybody around you, it'll benefit you, because it's going to make your life easier to embrace and accept, regardless of what you're going through, good or bad. It's going to eliminate a lot of chaos, a lot of mental anguish, a lot of emotional turmoil from your life, just based on who you are. And just based on how you view life and how you, the better you impose yourself on life, the higher and stronger the probability that you'll come out unscathed, regardless of what happens in your life. And you have to think about it this way, that right now at this point in time, whatever you're going through in life, you're like an ant on a table, right? So if this table, there's an ant here, and it's going, the ant doesn't have any idea that there's the edge of the table, that there's nothing after this, that it might fall, right? So same thing with human beings. We really can't foresee things that ahead in future. We tend to think of the moment and whatever we're dealing with, the problems, because the table is too big for us. The table is too big for our foresight to understand that there's an edge at the end of the table and there's nothing afterwards. Same thing goes for everything you suffer in life. You might be able to focus on what's happening right now, but you can never foresee what happened in the future. just like the foresight of an ant. So our significance in terms of events, and whatever happens in the future, good or bad, is negligible. It's just like an ant. You really can't predict the future. What you can predict is your behavior. What you can predict is your decision making and your actions and your attitude towards whatever you're going through, good or bad. I'd like to end this video by saying that the plates underneath your feet, the tectonic plates underneath your feet, are constantly moving. They're constantly moving, and you don't know. You don't even know. But if you have sincere intentions and you are a person of purpose and you have a focal point in your life and you're sincere towards that focal point, I promise you, the plates shifting underneath your feet will point you towards what you're meant to do and what you're meant to be. And a lot of people might be at a point in their life right now where they're losing hope or they've hit rock bottom. And even if you've hit rock bottom, that's okay, because once you hit rock bottom, the only place to go is up. You can't go any further, right? So you got nothing to lose. Just remember that this life is short and there's no real way to live it. Everybody has their theories, everybody has their philosophies, whether you're a religious person or not. But what I can tell you, as long as you're honest to yourself, you're sincere to the people around you, you owe the rights and responsibilities that you're supposed to dispense towards God, towards the people around you, towards those that require your help and some level of compassion from you. The baseline compassion from every human being is respect and love and care. That's something we all owe to everybody. As long as you're doing those things, you might have problems in life like everybody else does, but you'll always come out of them sooner or later, a bigger, a better version of you. And being the biggest, most enhanced, most valuable version of who you are as a human being is the best investment, short-term and long-term, that you can make within yourself. Because like we talked about, you can't control anything else. You can't control the very heart that beats in your chest. It could stop any time. But what you can control is what you keep feeding yourself day after day, month after month, year after year, decade after decade, so that you at least become a higher, better version of yourself, so that your value appreciates just the way the value of a house or real estate or land appreciates over time. That's why they're good investments. But I'd like us to think that we are far more valuable as human beings, far more beautiful and greater investments than any materialistic thing out there. And it all starts from how you approach life. So let's make a solemn vow that no matter what happens in our life, we will always try to motivate each other, we'll always be there for each other.